Amidst all the hostility that we are seeing in this Champions Trophy bit, the Border Gavaskar Trophy seems to have been pushed to the backdrop slightly, isn't
But
it?
what's the latest in Champions?
Hostility
Any
or
update?
confusion?
Circus.
Even
It's a
better.
Circus.
Chaos.
Yeah, I mean, see,
Did
tomorrow.
the meeting take place today?
We haven't gotten any official confirmation. See, if you look at it, it is 4:45 now in Dubai, or it's 3:45. It's 2.5 hours.
1.5.
1.5 hours.
1.5 hours. So it is already close to
5.
5 o'clock in Dubai.
Are we right? We hope we are right about this.
Yeah, 4:45, 1.5 hours. It's 4:45 at this stage, 4:49. So when you look at it, you should have had some kind of an update today. But seems like it's not happening. And late night, any kind of decision, I don't know. But already it's a charade because the ICC is going to face a massive, massive windfall, especially in the losses section financially, because you only have 19th February. Okay, so today is 30th of November, end of November. 31 plus 31, 62 plus 19, 80 days remaining for the Champions Trophy to begin. And you don't have a schedule, you don't know what is going to happen, the marketing, the logistics, everything. It's going to be a huge problem. This Champions Trophy is already pushed to the backdrop. On top of that, whatever is happening in the BGT also today, you have had two major instances. One, Prime Minister's 11, that got abandoned today because of heavy rain. Tomorrow's weather, Gulati, if you pointed it out, right?
Doesn't look that promising at all.
It's anyways going to be a 50 over game, right?
It's going to be a one-dayer. A
With the
one-dayer
ping
to
ball?
prepare for a test match.
50 over each.
50
Yeah.
over each, yes. So you're going to
Under
have
the
a
lights as well.
Yeah, you're going to have a one-dayer
No,
with
but
the ping
again,
ball.
one innings will be under light.
Yeah, one innings will be underlaid. So that is
And
kind
it's
of
just a one-day game basically.
Yeah,
so you're not
it's-
going to get sort of any practice.
Yeah, which is like kind of odd. But the major update that happened today, morning at about 6 a.m., 7 a.m., Josh Hazlewood ruled out of the second test. And that is a huge blow because Josh Hazlewood was the guy who scarred India with that 5 for 3 in Adelaide 2020. 36 all out. Who was the chief wrecker in that? Josh Hazlewood.
But wasn't that lethal in the first test? Wasn't like he did not look the same Hazelwood that we are used to looking. I think he was a little not out of form, but yeah, off color a little bit. He did look off color.
In the first innings, he bowled well.
Yeah.
But in the second innings, he was like, every Australian bowler was all over the shop. But Hazlewood was actually the most accurate if you look at it, economy-wise, if you look at it decision-making-wise. Because I've just got one particular stat that I want to give all our family members, especially on Josh Hazlewood. If you go up to the first tab, Shivam, I just like to point out, look at, up. Yeah, that's it. Day-night matches from 2015 in test matches. Hazlewood has featured in 8 of them. 37 wickets with 2 5-wicket hauls at an average of 18.
And both coming in winning causes, New Zealand and India.
Yeah, New Zealand and India. So that is why
He did not play the West Indies one.
the West Indies one was, I think he did play. I can just go to that blue tick if you
I
have to
think
look
he
at
had.
it. Yeah, I think he did.
Gabba,
Just no, day-night match, blue.
Rightmost blue tick. Yeah.
Okay.
Go down.
So he did play. He did play in Brisbane against West
Okay.
Indies. Go down. Because New Zealand, he took a 6 for 70. That remains his best haul. West Indies, if you look at it, Gabaka Government Part 2, he took 5 wickets there for 61 runs. With
A combined
24
5 wickets. Yeah. Not bad.
Not bad. It was fantastic. But then again, 5 for 8, Adelaide. Not 5 for 3, 5 for 8 in Adelaide. I mean, what a spell that was. And that brings us to the main topic here. Now, is this India's best chance to go 2-0 up in the Ashes? In the BGT rather.
The Ashes
And
also it wasn't wrong because for Australians they do consider this to be their Ashes this time.
not
around.
really. The BGT now is, I think, surpassing that. Is this the best chance for India to go 2-0 up in the Border Gavaskar Trophy? Do Australia have any kind of resources to fill in Josh Hazlewood's boots heading into Adelaide? Because Adelaide, I've just pointed out the numbers. 8 matches, 37 wickets, 18.85. And if you look at his last ping ball performance, 5 wickets for 62 combined, 61 rather, of 34 overs. How big a loss is it for Australia, firstly, to lose him in the ping ball test match?
I think it's a massive loss, obviously, because it's not just about the pink ball test. You needed a certain Josh Hazlewood for this all important second test, because it's not just that, Australia 1-0 up and it's going to be, fine for Australia. They head into this match with confidence. It is going to be a massive loss. Having said that, Australia, I think they have called in, two replacements. Brendan Doggett, who is yet to make his, test debut, and then there is Sean Abbott. But then, you already have a Scott Boland, in your ranks. I'm a little surprised as to why Lance Morris is not a part of this test squad. I think he probably should have been ahead of a certain Brendan Doggett there. But then I think it is going to be a big loss, and that's where I think Australia's problems deepen, because bowling wise, Australia might just still be able to trouble India, knowing that India's batting is equally fragile as compared to Australia. But what makes Australia's woes even more deeper, I think it's that their number 3 and number 4 aren't really firing at all. You look at Manas Labuschagne, for that matter, he has scored just 200s since December 2022 in the test format, and obviously he's hardly managed about 100 runs in his last 5 test matches, 5 to 6 test matches or so. Yeah, that's about it. So, and even in case of Smith in 2024, he averages about 25 odd. Yeah. So that's where I think Australia's problems have actually grown deeper. But then same was the case with India's also, after you lost in New Zealand 3-0 at home, and they have obviously bounced back with a crushing defeat of Australia. So massive loss once again, but then I think Australia would still be itching to make a comeback.
But wait a minute, let's just look at a conspiracy theory. Josh Hazlewood, Perth Test press conference, and then you get the news that he's got a low-grade side strain. Has he been reprimanded for what has happened at Perth? Because, as we have all pointed out, which Australian would ever come out and say, like, okay, ask the batters? Sure, that was a valid criticism, like the numbers you pointed out. Manas Labuschagne averages just 12 in the last 10 innings. Plus Steve Smith averages just 25 in 2024. That's a valid criticism. But he was looking forward to the second test match. And he comes out and says, I'm already looking forward to the second test, after staring down the barrel at Perth. Yes, bluster wouldn't have helped because you already lost by a big margin. You were losing by a big margin. But is this a reprimand that Hazlewood has gotten? Okay, we'll just give it in the press release. We'll just release it out that, okay, we will say it's a low-grade side strain. But then we are not happy with the statement because you brought your team morale down with that kind of statement. Is it that? Are you tempted to go that line?
No, that's in fact a really interesting conspiracy theory. I would have in fact believed it, but because to believe that I have 2-3 reasons. A low, how have they termed it?
Low grade
side strain.
So if it's a low grade side strain, firstly, side strain doesn't take that much time for you to sort of recover from it. It's sort of, it doesn't take, the turnaround time isn't that much. And secondly, it's also low grade in that sense. So, and there are still 4 days before the test match actually starts, which I feel is sufficient time to at least, if not recover, then get really close to the fitness, and then you could have ruled him out, getting closer to the test match. But the only thing why I would not believe in this right now is because it's Australian cricket, and if this would have been the reason to not make him play, and it was sort of a punishment for him for the statements that he has given, and then they wanted to not go with him as an option in the second test, then I think they would have said this in as many words. They would not have minced their words. And I don't think it's the same case like India, where you want to drop somebody and somebody ends up having a side strain. There it's still believable in India, but for Australia, I think if that was the case, I think they would have come out and said it in these many words.
I think we are probably reading too much into his comments that he made in the press conference in one of the days of the...
It was a fair assessment for the batters.
Test. Yeah, absolutely. See, I think it is probably a good decision by Cricket Australia, assuming he has a legitimate low-grade side strain, because let's just be very clear about it that Australia are set to play another 6 test matches in the next 2.5 months or so. And there's a very good chance that Pat Cummins might not be available for the Sri Lanka series
yes.
for personal reasons. He is expecting the birth of his child. So that's where I think you would need a certain Mitchell Starc and a Josh Hazlewood firing on all cylinders. And more important than that, you would need a fully fit Starc and Hazlewood for that series, assuming Pat Cummins is not there. So I think it's a good decision, but then it's a big blow to Australia also, because I think the other day I mentioned this in Dugout also, and I think going to reiterate this thing. So I was talking to somebody, and I think I was probably talking to Saransh only, our producer, that can India like really win 4-0? And I just told him one thing, and it's based on total gut feeling, that you just need to play 5 more good days of Test cricket in Adelaide, go 2-0 up, and 4-0 will happen automatically.
No, then why would they risk going 2-0 just to be more careful about Josh Hazlewood? I don't think the series that are coming after this is that important. I think they would have wanted to go all in for this Test series as well.
I mean, look, see, Hazlewood, unfortunate, has suffered a side strain. Okay, let's just go by that. Okay.
And also maybe just sorry to cut you short, but I think maybe they are also, because they know that there are still 3 more Test matches after this to come ahead, they want to preserve Hazlewood for that, because maybe pink ball, they know that India has a strong weakness against them, and they know even a Scott Boland who comes in fact he's somebody even I would have wanted him to play in the first Test also. See, now in hindsight I would not have wanted that to happen, because the conditions weren't that suitable for fast bowling, but to start off with, I would have definitely had Scott Boland in my 11 because of because the kind of form that he showed in the warm-up game heading into this Test series as well. But maybe also because they know that even Scott Boland can exploit India that much, and you might need Hazlewood even more moving ahead in the series as the conditions ease out for the Indian team. You'd want someone like a quality bowler in Hazlewood to actually chip in moving ahead. So I think that's a very big that also could be a reason why they want to be safe with the Hazlewood and go here with, I think it's going to be very clear, it's going to be Scott Boland coming in for Hazlewood or
Could
Sean
be.
Abbott.
No, I don't think it's Sean Abbott. I think
If you want to get a little bit of more batting in your side, then maybe. But I don't think Australia goes with that mindset.
Yeah, I think Abbott isn't that big a batter when you have to look at it. But let's see. Hazlewood's absence has actually dented Australia in a big way, because you lost your key strike bowler in the pink ball format. And on top of that, if Australia go 2-0 down, then India can dream of the unthinkable, because never have they won 4 tests in a Sena country ever in one series.
They won 4 in the last 2 series.
Yeah, they won 4 in the last 2 series. But then, yet again, when you look at it, Australia are the only team to have come back from 2-0 down. Okay? In 1936-37. In the 21st century, no one's done that. So if Australia lose 2-0, they'll have a double whammy. One, they'll squander the BGT chances all over again. They'll be the 5th consecutive time they have lost the BGT. Second, they don't have any chances of the World Test Championship also then.
Correct.
You will have new champions. That is for certain. Third, this generational side is due in for a massive transition then. They want to ensure that they can at least hang on until the Ashes, because 2025 is an important year for them because of the Ashes. England are coming down under. So that is why they want to ensure that this doesn't happen. Scott Boland, okay, we are talking about Scott Boland. It is not, he gave a statement by which he said, okay, we have lost a game, fair enough. But it's not as if we are throwing the toys out of the pram in that sense. We don't have out of the cot, because
I think he is that, outright speaker for the Australian team, because even before the warm-up game, he said that KL Rahul is a walking, he did not say in these many words, but this is exactly what he meant, that I'm going to show KL Rahul is a sort of a walking.
Be all over him, yeah.
Be all over him. So, Scott Boland, okay, that's one example. Now, let's look at Scott Boland in that sense, because you look at his exploits. Debut 6 for 7 against England. We call him the MCG specialist for that reason, okay. But then, I understand that many people have got apprehensions about Scott Boland because of the way how he troubled India in that World Test Championship final. Okay. Now, in that World Test Championship, when you look at it, he got the wicket of Virat He got a wicket of Jadeja in that sense. Gale, even KS Bharat.
Correct.
Everybody, he troubled him with that metronomic line outside off stump.
When he's the tall bowler front on, he sort of hits the seam
Yeah,
harder.
he will get swing seam in the pink ball in Adelaide. But you have to understand this was Scott Boland at Oval. Now, Scott Boland after Birmingham and Leeds, look at it. 2 Ashes test matches in Leeds and Birmingham, average of 115 and an economy rate of 4.91.
Those fast and flat tracks of England.
Those fast and flat tracks of England ensured that Scott Boland was hit all over the park. And imagine when Joe Root reverse scooped him for a 6, his confidence was shattered. And Scott Boland, okay, when we look at it, 3 Sheffield Shield games that I look back at it, 19 wickets. Scott Boland. In the India A versus Australia warm-up game, got KL Rahul's wicket. But can Scott Boland step up and be Hazlewood's replacement? Because you need a new ball bowler. Is he a new ball bowler? When you look at it, you got Cummins, Stark, Boland. Then we don't know if Mitchell Marsh will be fit.
No, but I
Correct.
think
Then you got Bo Webster and Nathan Lyon.
But I think you could open the bowling with Cummins as well. If
He'll have to open the bowling because the World Test Championship, I think he opened Cummins, if I'm not
Yes,
mistaken, in the
correct,
final.
correct.
wouldn't be a bad idea.
You did not have Josh Hazlewood for that
Yes.
match.
I mean, if I look back at it,
So at that point, Scott Boland did step up.
did step up as the first change, but that was a red ball format. Scott Boland, when you look at it in the pink ball, can he deliver the goods? See, I think he did well against the West Indies in one of the games. I think in Adelaide he did well. I think he got a triple wicket strike in one particular over. So that is why Boland of 2022-2023, I would be fearful. But a Boland of 2024, his last test match was Leeds, July. He's playing a test match after nearly 1.5 years. Is he the same Scott Boland that you have to fear? Because he's 35, he's not going to get that many chances. Ashes, he was fantastic when you look at it, but sorry, Ashes in Australia, he was fantastic. 6 wickets, 3 wickets, 3 wickets in Sydney and Hobart. But apart from that, he's not been that great.
Absolutely.
Are you worried about Scott Boland? Because I honestly, if I have to look at it, I am not that worried about Scott Boland because his form isn't there.
See, even I would say that I'm a little worried about him because if Australia have to go back to Scott Boland after what happened in the Ashes, what I'm more worried about is Australia's pace bowling department that's going to be there in the future, because maybe you do not really have complete trust in the likes of Lance Morris, Spencer Johnson for that matter. Jai Richardson has been completely...
Spencer is only a white ball.
Yeah, he's more of a white ball specialist, but then the options that you have had in the last few matches or so.
No, but Scott Boland isn't a bad option. See,
No, he's not
England,
a bad...
everyone was taken to the clean.
He is not a bad option at all. But then, if you look at Australia's, let's say, some of the past few selections that they have had, not just in batting but in bowling also, I think you have probably gone back to players like maybe Usman Khwaja, with all due respect, knowing that they did well, they obviously deserved their chance, but then obviously there were a few young players also who Australia could have really turned up to. So maybe if you're not...
Like?
There is a Joshua Philippe who had done reasonably well, in red ball Sheffield Shield cricket for that matter.
No, but
so
you
it's...
cannot go replace Usman Khwaja for...
I'm not saying that... See, what I'm basically trying to say is that it's with all due respect to Usman Khwaja, but with Australia... generally what we have seen is that when push comes to shove, you would want to replace some of your players with the new ones or the newly talented players who do well in Sheffield Shield cricket, or maybe for that matter in county cricket. But then the kind of the youngsters that maybe are coming up in Sheffield Shield in both batting and bowling, maybe there is not enough trust in them. That is the point that I'm coming up to.
Scott Boland is also somebody who's come up from the domestic itself. He's somebody who's been ahead of Lance Morris, ahead in the pecking order, and I don't see any reason why. I honestly don't see why does this mean that they are not trusting the youngsters, because Scott Boland is anyways second line. Is somebody who's ahead of them in the squad. So I don't think that this means that they are not trusting in the youngsters, because even Scott Boland has risen up the ranks through domestic cricket and A cricket only.
No, absolutely. There's no denying that. The only point is that let's just take the example of India, just to maybe put, I'll try to put things into context here. It's not that, a certain Ajinkya Rahane or a Cheteshwar Pujara aren't really doing well in Ranji Trophy or any of the other red ball matches. The point is that, despite lost to New Zealand there at home, you did show your trust in the younger players that you have.
But that example doesn't match now, because with Ajinkya Rahane and Cheteshwar Pujara, you gave them a very long rope in international cricket. They did not perform over there. Plus, there was the age factor. That's why you moved on from them.
That's get it.
You're not getting them back. But Scott Bowling is a youngster who is
he's not a
Scott Boland is not a youngster.
As a youngster, he's in the team. He's a youngster. He's still sort of making his mark in the team. And he's somebody who's again, it's very simple. I think he's ahead in the pecking order, and that's why he will start. And he's always been the fourth fast bowler in that sense. After these three, whenever it's about switching somebody, it's been Scott Bowling, and it's not like that he's not had a great form. Just the Ashes, where all the other bowlers also did not have a great time. They cannot just take that in consideration and move ahead past a Scott Bowland.
And I'm not denying that. I'm absolutely in favor of having a certain Scott Boland. What I'm trying to say is that, the kind of young bowlers that Australia have in Sheffield Shield cricket, maybe there is not enough trust in them. That's what I'm getting to.
They should get them in place of Scott Boland.
Maybe, just
Why?
maybe.
That's what I'm trying to ask you. But what should be the reason for that?
And why I'm saying this, because traditionally that's what Australia have done. It is about, switching to younger players. And usually you haven't really seen Australia going back to players who are probably, that aged, or for that matter, who are probably past their prime.
Back to him. It's not like he was ever dropped. He was, again, with Australia, it's not like that they sort of, fast track somebody ahead of someone else. Even with Sam Qantas, I think they did not get him.
Qantas, yeah.
He had a good season last time around. Matthew Renshaw, all these people have been having season after season after season, good seasons. Then they have got into the circuit. So with Australia, I think it's more about they get in what you call in Hindi the pakke hue chawal in that sense.
Yeah.
You really toiled there. It's not about just
the finished product.
The finished product. It's not about one season or something like that. That's why with Scott Boland, if it was like he was dropped and then they've gone back to him, now they're getting him, that would have been the case, then I would have understood with you. Then even the comparison with Rahane and Pujara would have made sense. But here it's not like that. He's somebody who is if there's a fourth fast bowler for Australia, it is Boland. So if somebody will come in, it is that. Even as far as opening is concerned, they did not go to anyone else. Even though there was form, they went to a McSweeney who's somebody who's experienced. Even though they had to change the number, they still stuck to him, who was scoring runs. Even though they had to, sort of get him to the opening slot apart from opening. I think for the first time he opened in that India A game, only the second A game. Before that he hadn't opened. And the first time he opened, even though he looked wanting, I think they're still going to stick with him.
Look, see, the problem is that Australia have got a concern when it comes to fast bowling stocks. Okay, Bo Webster is Mitchell Marsh's replacement. Okay?
Pace bowling all-rounder.
Pace bowling all-rounder. You have a Sean Anderson. He slogged in the Sheffield Shield when you look at it. He was from New South Wales, if I'm not mistaken, Sean Abbott. He's not had that much of a big impact. You got Lance Morris, maybe injury prone. That's why he's a bolter often, but then he's probably going to be consigned to a white ball. Jai Richardson's freak injury has ensured that, now what do we do? Because Richardson is a very good red ball bowler. I mean, I think in 2021 in that Ashes Test match, he picked up a 5-wicket haul, Jai Richardson.
Yeah. So, and he also did well in one of the ping ball matches that Australia had against Sri Lanka in 2019.
Yes. Now, Australia have had a steady core. That's why you've not seen so many guys coming. But then, yes, once Warner went, you're now going to see a big churn. I mean, you had likes of Joe Burns once try and open. Then you had a Curtis Patterson also, but Curtis Patterson was more in the middle order.
Yeah, middle order. Yeah.
Scott Boland at 35 still makes the cut because of his past performances when you look at it. He's no youngster. He's a youngster when you look at international experience when you look at it. Cummins, Stark, that's going to be your bowling lineup followed by Boland. Then probably you'll have to get some overs from Bo Webster and Nathan Lyon. That's going to be your bowling lineup. But then there is a problem. I mean, who's the next after Cummins? Who's the next after Stark? Who's the next after Hazlewood? Who was the last guy, if you were to look at Australia, who was the last guy to get bolted into the Australian team at a very young age and have a very good career. Can you name who was that guy?
David Warner as a batter.
Our current captain.
Labuschagne also.
Our current Australian captain.
Pat Cummins.
Pat Cummins at the age of 19.
South Africa series.
Labuschagne made it too young. I think 24-5. I think he was not more than 25.
See, Labuschagne came.
Labuschagne had a very ordinary start to his test career.
No, but he was just 25, I think, when he made his
Yeah.
debut.
Yeah, but then look at the circumstance where Labuschagne made his thing also. Steve Smith, you can say to a certain extent, 2011 he made his debut. He had only 3 years of first class cricket. 2008 he was the under 19 setup.
But 3 years is enough. See, like, just on the contrary, when you look at another player who started in under 19 with him, he made his debut way before Steve Smith in that sense, Virat Kohli.
But
So-
Kohli made his test debut in 2011 only.
Yeah, same year. But Kohli and Smith made an impact about 2013 itself.
Correct.
Kohli in 2013 had a great start. Then Steve Smith at 138 at the Oval against England.
Smith from 2011 until 2012-ish end, he was more as a leg spinning all-rounder.
Yes.
He batted in the middle.
He batted. So that's why now Smith is also facing a decline. So that's why Australia never tested it that much. Their bowling has always been, they have been asked to scrounge the bottom. Who's there? Who's not there? So that's why I honestly feel that Scott Boland with an average of 115 ever since 2023. Sure, there'll be a bit of help with the pink ball, but I think India have overcome that, and that's why it will not be easy for Boland like how we had it at the Oval. This Indian cricket team wants to eliminate some of the scars. 36 has been replaced by 46 at home. So that's why, is this, now the question is, with Hazlewood's absence, we know we have discussed about Boland, we have discussed about, I don't know why they don't, I think even this guy is also white balls, with Xavier Bartlett.
Correct.
He's also white
He's
balls.
also injury prone.
Spencer Johnson
That's the
is
point.
somebody you can even get into
Again,
red.
only white
No, but
ball.
you can get him into red ball also.
How much red ball cricket has he played, Spencer Johnson?
Hardly.
He's all the time busy in
Franchise cricket, yeah.
And plus, the emergence of Spencer Johnson came only during the 100.
Yeah.
The 100 was if you have to look at the first true star to emerge from the 100, it was actually Spencer Johnson when you look at it. That spell, I think it was for Birmingham Phoenix, if I'm not
Correct.
mistaken.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'll have to cross check that. So that's why Australia have a problem. And this is why the next question that I would like to ask before we take the comments and everything, is this India's best opportunity to go 2-0 up?
Hands down, yes. Hands down.
Yeah, opportunity it's best, but it's not going to be easy.
No, but what do you think? I mean, looking at the way how Australia's build-up has been, there's a lot of distractions that the injuries are coming at the wrong time. Do you think India will capitalize and eliminate? Because see, India has only one streak to end for Australia. They have ended every other streak that is there. 16-game winning streak, that's ended twice. Perth, fortress no more. Gaba, fortress no more. Adelaide is the only place where Australia have never lost a pink ball test match.
It's going to be very close. I think even after seeing everything, I think it's going to be 49-51 in favor of Australia. Very close, 51 in favor of Australia.
Wow, okay. You're still that scarred of Australia because I'll tell you.
Australia, Vishisha, we need to remember this every time we talk about it.
Understood. But then I'm looking at the holistic picture.
See, you don't need anything. See, the whole issue is one, Steve Smith, if he decides to raise his hand up, a Manas Labuschagne, a Usman Khwaja, anybody can raise their hands up and go and score a century. And
By
then
the way,
that will,
Steve Smith doesn't have a good record in Adelaide.
but I'm just saying
Correct.
anybody, even Manas Labuschagne. See, again, because pink ball, we do not have that big a sample size as well.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not looking to, anyways, I'm not too big a fan of numbers. All the more reason to not be in this because the sample size is very small.
So you guys believe it could be 2-0. It's a very good chance. You believe slightly on caution. It could be
50-50,
Australia bouncing back.
I think if India continue to play the cricket that they have, we all witness in Perth, it is going to be 2-0 because, as I said, it's not just going to be the absence of Hazlewood. Australia's batting is equally fragile.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's just going to boil down to the fact, and obviously, I've done that Mitchell Johnson video. You can check that out also. That the batting unit that first gets to 350 in the second test is probably going to have an upper hand in that match because bowlers more often than not are going to get you those 20 wickets from both the sides. It's the batting that has to click, and currently with what I have witnessed in Perth, I would really want to keep India 51 and Australia 49.
Yeah, I will raise it slightly higher. I think I'll go to 55-45. That India can potentially go 2-0 up for one simple reason. See, this is anything can happen in the Adelaide Test match. Agreed. It's a ping ball Test match. Anything can happen. The predictions can go awry also. But looking at the build-up at this point in time, India look focused. The team is settled. The team batters have come back to form after what happened in Perth. Australia's batters haven't come to form. And the ping ball isn't going to be any easier for them. Smith doesn't have a good record in the Adelaide ping ball, but he can turn his fortunes around. Labuschagne has a great record in the Adelaide ping ball, but he's not in good form at this point in time. Hazlewood is not there, your chief wrecker in a ping ball test. Stark wayward, Cummins jaded. Only Alex Carey, Travis Head and Usman Khwaja was in here. Khwaja also looked out of depth in that Perth test match. So, with Bumrah in top form, with the Indian bowlers also having a good opportunity, ping ball swinging in the lights, the twilight, it's not going to be easy for Australia. That's why I say it's a good chance that they go 2-0 up. But then remember, 2-0 up doesn't mean that they can go 4-0 up. I disagree on that particular sense because Australia, the last time they lost 2 consecutive tests at home in the series. I mean, they lost one to West Indies, they lost now to India. Last time they lost 3 consecutive. When was that?
If India ends up winning 4-0 in this series, I think it would be I think the greatest moments in Indian Test cricket.
It is one of the best
Greatest cricketing moment in our life for that matter.
Yeah, it is one of the best moments indeed. I mean,
No one has ever seen India, defeat Australia in Australia 3 times in a row.
No, more
South
than that,
Africa
I
have
think,
done it.
more than that, see, last
I'm
time
just
it was-
talking about from the Indian cricket perspective.
Last
Yeah.
time it was a surreal performance. Before that, people can say sort of there was no Smith and Warner. But this time, the way we are expecting India to dominate, if that's how India dominates, then I think it will be one of the biggest moments.
But
in
then
Indian
remember,
Test
the
cricket.
last time an Australian team was hammered 4-0 or more, it was 1978-79 England. 5-1.
Correct.
They lost 5-1 in that series. But again, remember, one match they lost, they won the next one by 103 runs in Melbourne, but then lost 4 on the trot.
Correct.
That was the only time I think I can remember when they lost 3 or 4 games on the trot. Looking at it, yes, maybe the West Indies teams could have done it in the past. Maybe the West Indies could have done it, but apart from that, very difficult. This is why I think Australia, if they go 2-0 down, they'll have to do a 1936-37 repeat, win all
Correct.
the 3 games. Because remember, with South Africa now winning the WTC match against Sri Lanka, it's now, I think, a spot for 2 teams for 1 spot. South Africa are making it. If they win the next test, Sri Lanka are eliminated then. Then they'll have to ensure that, okay, Australia wins, they win 2-0 versus Australia. Pakistan beats them 2-0. Pakistan beats South Africa 2-0 at home. It's never happened, but it could happen. Anything can happen. This World Test Championship has shown that anything can happen at home.
Correct.
India, no one expected they will lose 3-0. South Africa can lose 2-0 to Pakistan because Pakistan are a very mercurial team when you look at anything they will do at this stage. So,
Akib ball.
Aki ball, but then it's not going to be easy. Let's be very important about it. So, let's look at some comments that is there. Danush is saying Bumrah dominates in Oz, England and South Africa, but struggles against
Bumrah has
NZ.
played just 2, test matches in New Zealand. He took about, I think, 4 or 5 wickets there. So
3 or 4
maybe,
wickets.
we can say a lot more about that once he tours New Zealand like one more time.
But again, that will also be only 2 tests. It won't be 3 tests.
Yeah. 2026.
I think 26-27.
Yeah,
if I'm not
27.
mistaken.
Yeah.
Because, see, you're having 1 series at home to the West Indies. You're having 5 away to England. I think you're having 1 away to South Africa.
Correct.
And then you're having 1 away to New Zealand. I think that's the 2 series that will complete the overseas cycle. And I think you have against Australia in the BGT here. And what is the other series? I don't know. I'll have to check that out. Maybe Sri Lanka? Maybe. I don't know. So I'll have to check that out. So looking at it, future IITN is saying Boland will trouble India more than Stark. Can't say about Cummins' form. Will Virat stay on back foot like Perth's second innings and control himself for 7th stump line? Then no one will stop him from another. I think, see, Virat is very flexible. No one will match him in that sense because he's flexible in that sense, can adapt to any kind of a situation. With the form that he's now gotten back, then I think it's trouble stations. And Adelaide is a venue where he's done really well. He's gotten 300s there. He's gotten a 74 in the ping ball test match there also. So it's quite good. AK is saying, yeah, the other guy who was faster to look at is James Patterson.
But he did not really have a long career.
Injuries.
Yeah.
Big time injuries. What a bowling action. And I remember one thing of Pattinson. When he burst on, he took 2 consecutive 5-wicket hauls, if I'm not mistaken.
New Zealand.
At
Gabba.
And Hobart,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. And decentish bat. But Pattinson, yaar, what a... It's a very, very bad situation for him. Now, freaking awesome is saying, except in Brisbane, if India will win the toss, better we bat first. In Sydney, bat first or second doesn't make difference. Australia's win-loss ratio has gone down drastically if they bat second in Adelaide. True. I think Australia have always done, win the toss, bat first. That's how they set the template. That's how they're comfortable with that. Here they lost the toss and India wanted to bat first. And Australia didn't help themselves with 67 for 7. Hardly you win unless you're England in 2019. Let's take any other comment that is there. And okay, Kiran Khatri, thank you so much for that comment. I think he's talking about statistics when I'm saying
Yeah, he was.
And I do occasionally get it wrong also. I do accept that, but I try and improve.
That's fine, what she said.
Priyanshu is saying, next match, most important. Shubham Gaur. Shashwat has just said Sam Constas isn't playing first class for many years. Guess what? He's only played 10 first class games till now.
2 seasons. Last season he got doubles and this time he got 2 centuries.
Well,
and last
he actually was in the 2024 Under-19 World Cup,
Yeah,
Sam Constas.
yeah.
And he scored a century in both innings against one particular team, if I'm not mistaken.
No, this season he
season.
got 2 centuries. Last season also he got, I don't remember the exact number.
Yep. Priyanshu, next match is most important. If India goes 2-0 up, even Marnus would be dropped and complete panic in us. Guys, do you think Ashwin career almost as Sundar has become first choice? Well, for the first part of the question, yes, then I don't see Australia coming back. It's very, very difficult. This current Australian team doesn't have that innovation that can they come back and do it 3-2.
More importantly, it's the resources. Do you have the batting resources to cover a certain Manas Labuschagne or a Steve Smith, assuming you leave them out after poor form? That's going to be a big problem.
Because see, they didn't back up Marcus Harris.
Correct.
Marcus Harris was in the line, but again, he didn't help himself with a very poor Ashes series. But credit to Marcus Harris, he got a 50 in testing conditions in Melbourne 2021. That was very bad situations that were there. So that's why it was really, really a big thing. And yes, Faizan Malik is like saying Pakistan beat us in the Under-19 Asia Cup. Well, had to happen. I mean, when Shazeb scored 156, Vaibhav Suryavanshi unfortunately fell for a one run.
Yeah.
So that didn't help, but it's fine. So that's about it. And tomorrow, hopefully, we should get to know what is the Champions Trophy situation. I think there was a comment addressed to me, if I am not mistaken. Sidvi, Shubham Garg once said he watches Queen's Gambit to learn. It's like watching MS Dhoni movie for learning how to play cricket. Well, I did watch the Queen's Gambit, not to learn chess. It was about visualization. You see, when Gukesh and all, they close their eyes and they want to meditate. They want to visualize the board. How you visualize the board with moves ahead? I am not preparing for move number 20 at that point. I am preparing for move number 24, 25. I mean, I am visualizing. That's why blindfold chess. Play blindfold chess. It will improve in your visualization. Because I am already planning. Okay, I have calculated this many moves. Okay, I will move the knight to NF5. How is that going to change the position? Eyes closed. It improves your mind.
Do you want to call out any chess player who you want to take up, who you can beat? We can have.
Oh, I don't see. I know I'm trying to learn the basics of the rules. I'm studying the.
But
moves.
it runs in your family, which
It runs, but then see, at the point in time, he's a 5-time world champion for a reason. I cover chess because I know certain rules of the game. That's why. Naman Kantpal, guys, your choice for third pacer, someone who swings or who gets extra bounce. My choice is Akashdeep. Any chance for Aksar to return to the test squad? The guy does all the hard work but still gets.
I think Akshar will be there for all the home matches that are probably going to take place from 2025. I don't see, it's going to be the end of both Ashwin and Jadeja. They are going to be there, but a lot relies upon the result of BGT, because if India go on to win or at least retain the Border Gavaskar trophy, I think pretty much the same squad is going to continue for the next 1 or 1.5 years or so. But if you lose, then you can obviously ask for a few changes. There is going to be a transition. But eventually, a transition in India's test team is going to happen in the next couple of years or so. That's happening.
Akashdeep, yes, I would pick him in place of Harshit Rana.
I'm going to go with same 11.
Same level.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because see, Harshit Rana, I will get him back in the horses for courses thing in Brisbane. I'll get him there.
I'd start with Akashdeep and I'd go with him for the whole series. In fact.
Okay.
So Anshu Mishra, New Zealand will rue the fact that they humiliated India, how they lost to a team like Sri Lanka. Because if NZ would have won one test versus Sri Lanka and beat England by 2-1, then PCT 64, then New Zealand was the SA final, indoors out. Yeah, exactly. That 2-0 loss to Sri Lanka will haunt them big time. And Rookie Techie is saying, why do you have trust in Pakistani batting? That's what he's saying. They cannot, Deepak Yadav is also saying, they cannot even score 200 in any innings in South Africa versus Rabada, Jansen and Ngidi Nortje. It's not Multan, maybe. Okay, final question. What is the future of Sarfaraz now? Forever bench?
I think we'll probably talk about it in a couple of test matches from now, because one thing is for sure, that if both Rohit and Shubman Gill return, then the man who's going to bat at number 6 is going to be KL Rahul. So he's going to be given at least he's going to be in the squad until the end of the Gabba test.
Yeah.
We'll probably talk about it during the MCG test, just before it.
Could be. But then, if Dhruv Jurel doesn't do well and if KL Rahul doesn't do well, I'm assuming Shubman's not fit for the Adelaide test match.
Yeah.
So KL or Dhruv might still retain their places, but I think position swapping could happen.
Only
Devdutt will go out. So that is why, looking at it, maybe Rahul at 3 and Jurel at 6. But then if Jurel doesn't have a good game and Shubman Gill also is not fit, then I think Sarfaraz could come.
More than likely.
No. Shubman Gill not fit till third test. I don't see that happening.
Because you don't have that big a turnaround, na? You only have 4 days from Adelaide to
But I
Correct.
see him play the Adelaide test as well.
You're seeing Shubman play the Adelaide test.
Yeah, the
See,
way
he
he's
batted well in the
batting
nets. He's actually, from what we have heard, is that he's not feeling that discomfort in his
Even I
thumb
wasn't
now.
expecting that to happen, but after what I saw yesterday,
Shubham Garg has a FIDE rating of 1850. Wow. Sidhu, you can have a match. Sure, Shubham, let's go connect online and we can have an online
we'll
chess.
stream it live on Sports Today.
FIDE rating of 1850. Man,
Okay, Shivam bhaiya.
that's very impressive. Very
Live
impressive.
streaming
Shubham
on
Garg.
Sports Today.
Yep. Okay. So.
Bishi, before we end, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
So, as far as these chess players are concerned, how much of a role does CBT play in their, let's say, in preparation? CBT by meaning that cognitive behavioral technique. How much of a way you use it to change your thoughts?
Oh, that's
What's
a very
that? Can
interesting.
somebody-
CBT is usually a technique that's used across most of the team sports, or even in individual sports, also in tennis and all. It's basically a way to change your thoughts.
Why would somebody want to do that?
Assuming someone is going through a rough patch, more used towards the sports psychology thing.
It's not like that. See, I know chess is a very.
See, as far as I know, even we discussed about it, that diet does have a massive impact. When we were discussing about the Vishwanathan Anand and Magnus Carlsen final that took place, I think a few years back, we were discussing about what kind of diet they usually take. That's what
14,
most of
20,
the
14, 13,
media outlets also covered. So I thought that I'll ask you about it, CBT thing.
Not really. I mean, see, you don't need to be IITians or you don't need to be toppers to ensure that you're a good chess player. You just have to play with a bit of common sense and you have to know the rules, essentially. I mean, if you know the passer, if you have to study the chess moves, study the chess openings, then I think 60% of your prep is done.
Correct.
Just chess openings. For example, today, Gukesh played the French defense. What is the Rui Lopez? What is the Queen's Gambit declined? What is the Tarrasch defense? All those kind of openings, because every piece on the chessboard moves in a different way. The rook can only move straight in a right angle, depending on the pieces. Knight can jump. Bishop can only go diagonal. Queen any direction. King, any direction, only one piece. So that's why
Yep, yep.
just know the rules in that sense.
Yeah, he will.
Read Vishwanathan Anand's 200 best games.
Okay.
In that, you will figure out what is the best way to go about chess in that way.
Or if you are not able to read that book, then you start a tuition classes.
No.
Yeah,
You
absolutely.
will only start.
His family member.
Yeah.
What's your relation with Sir Vishwanathan
I
Anand?
mean, he's my chachaji, he's my uncle, my dad's younger brother. So that's the relation I had. Started playing chess. He started playing at the age of 13. When he was 6, he was already dominating at the age of 6 and 7. Became national champion at 13. Became India's grandmaster at 1988. No.
And you're Sports Today's grandmaster.
I have never beaten him, and I only came close once, but I never knew that there was a rule called passer, pawn passer, on passer. I didn't know that rule, so that's why I was like, yeah, how did he diagonally move in that sense? He said passer. When I checked the book, and I said, oh no, there is this rule. I could have held him for a draw at least, for a drawish position. So W Entertainment 007 on
But
Rohit.
I think you should professionally start playing chess now.
Well, let's see.
Last comment of the evening.
Last 2 comments. On Rohit return, placing him in middle order at 5, which will be looking like Travis Head in Oz batting lineup, feels like Juggernaut at end. How good it will be.
No, please, let's have Rohit open the innings.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kiran Khatri, you're right. Yeah, Shubman might play Adelaide, looking good at this point. Future IITN, last comment. Smith and VK are 2 best test batters of this era. VK can score 100, so SS also can do the same. Many Indians say Kane best, and I'll show you horrible stats of
We
Kane
were discussing about that.
I know. See, Kane Williamson's been averaging 50 in the last 7 years.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, his record away in the C countries
Has been very poor.
very poor.
Yeah.
South Africa, England, Australia. Australia's slightly better. But otherwise, it's a terrible record for Kane. Even I am a Williamson fan, but it's en passant, exactly. I didn't know the opposite rule at that time. So I made it a point. Himanshu Sharma, yes, you're right. We'll play South Africa at our home for 5 T20, 3 ODIs and 2 tests and play Sri Lanka away. Okay, so that is the sequence. Okay. So, yep, showing. Chess is already remembering the sequences. Yes. That
I
is
think it's
why.
time for a match between Shubham Garg and Sidvi sir.
I mean, anytime, but then I would prefer to come here and play.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll call him. We can stream it live.
Yeah. See, you will be
Full
great,
jam
Shubham
setup.
Garg. I mean, you will be great.
4 cam setup, one set on the board, one on the board, one frame for you, one frame for Shubham Garg, and one full frame.
But then see,
We'll need 2 producers for
It is-
that, me and Shivam. Bhai.
Producer will be powered.
yeah. It is good that people are talking about chess, because if Gukesh does the unthinkable on December 14th, you're going to see a chess revolution spike in this country. Because
Absolutely.
Anand at this point in time, oh, you are anyway organizing, man. Google is the principal sponsor of the FIDE World Chess Championships. Wow, that's good, yeah. Go to the Google office, Gurgaon. Oh, no.
He's calling you to your office.
Yeah, it can happen, but then see, he will be a very good chess. 1850.
No, but if Shubham, if you come here, then we can, sort of stream it live on Sports Today as well. So it's better that you come. Studio equipment, chess board, we are the chess
Oh.
master.
No, I'm not a chess master. I can play.
Audience
And-
also. You come, you can DM Bishi sir or Shivam Bhaiya to get booked.
See, if you are 18-15 FIDE in the ratings, then you start as the odds-on favorite, my friend. Because it's very difficult to get that kind of ratings in that sense. And he's been, I think, playing online chess quite frequently. So it's quite good. But yes, the next big date for Indian sports will be December 14th, if that happens.
We'll invite UG if he
Yeah.
organizes such.
Yeah.
As
Well,
a guest of honor.
Yeah.
Let's see. So it's going to be great. So let's see, Shubham, if that happen. I work in Google, so that's excellent.
No, you to work in Sports Today, he works in Google.
That's what I said. It's great. You work in Google, and they are the principal sponsors of the World Chess Championship. So that's great.
Why didn't you go for the World Chess Championship?
You have to ask people here why I can't go. But maybe if Gukesh wins, maybe a slight chance. Let's
Then
see.
you can go after his winning, na?
My photo is anyway there in Singapore.
You can go for the airport arrival.
You know, I after that comment from Vishina, I expect him to have a lower grade side strain.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. So yep, that's about it. So thank you so much, folks, for joining us. We'll be building up to the Champions Trophy thing. I don't think we may have an announcement today. Looks like the time has elapsed.
Let's see.
For that.
Yeah.
But could happen tomorrow because ICC are desperately now facing a race against time. Plus India versus Australia tomorrow, 50 over OD, one dayer for a ping ball test warm up. That'll be very interesting. So let's see how that happens. Thank you so much, folks, for joining us for this live. Subscribe to Sports Today for all the latest news and analysis. And don't forget, we are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And from me, Gulati, and Shashwat, it's bye-bye. Subscribe so that you know when you know we get all this information from, and it'll be immediately available for you. So that we'll discuss tomorrow, Akash Singha, when that happens. Any chance of playing 11 on second test match? Let's see. So from me, Shashwat, and Gulati, bye-bye. Vanakkam, Shubhratri, Shabba Khair, eat your vegetables.
And don't trouble your mother.
And stay safe. Bye bye.
Where is Nandri?
Nandri, I said.
No.
I said Nandri. I said Nandri. I said subscribe. Subscribe. I emphasized on the word subscribe. Yep. Bye bye.